All right, so we can't talk about most of the things Brodeur was telling us before the show, so we're going to go to the one he can. Brodeur, you want to recommend something to me that the only other person to recommend for me was good old Papa Mace, because he told me this once, all right? And that's the only reason I'm even entertaining this advice. Go ahead.
So my nemesis, with whom I have gamed for many years.
Which is not Papa Mace. That's
which is
not a different guy.
My buddy Brent. I had mentioned to him that I was interested in trying a mani-pedi. And he gets them all the time. So he's like, well, dude, we should go get him. So we've scheduled a date on the 26th on that Friday. He picked me up at 9 o'clock in the morning.
With Starbucks?
No, we went to breakfast.
Oh, okay.
So we had breakfast, then we went and we got massages, and then we went and had mani-pedis. And I got to tell you.
All right, for anyone who's never heard the shortening, mani-pedis, manicure and pedicure, it's a detailed treatment of the fingernails, toenails, and then usually also accompanied by a massage or a treatment of the hands and feet.
It's so great. It was so relaxing and amazing in terms of just the people watching, right? So Brent and I are sitting in our chairs, and there's a guy next to me who is, I would have guessed a cis dude, right? But he was really into having his nails done. And then it's just hot, upper middle class West County housewives.
Oh, thank you.
Everywhere. Yeah, everywhere, right? And then, of course, the people...
Are you Jeff County?
I am Jefferson County. I'm barely Jefferson County. But I
was saying, as if you weren't barely Jeff County, you'd be South County, not West County.
The cleanliness of my nails, the comfort of my skin, the hot wax treatment on my feet.
Oh, you got the paraffin?
I did. Yeah. Oh, my God. The hot wax on the feet, the massage chair, just the entire experience. But the fact that an expert did the work. Like, I love that. I'm not a handyman. I can do some very minor things around the house. But when I pay an expert to do the thing that they're an expert at, unbelievably cool. Watching this woman do my hands and the fact that I could barely feel her touch me and my nails were cleaner, better looking. My toenails have never been this clean in my entire life. And I've got nasty, gross ingrown toenails. And I've got really short, fat hobbit feet. And
didn't it hurt if you've got ingrown toenails?
No. She was magical, Wayne. It was GD magic. I could barely feel. And just when it was done for days, I just walked around and I looked at my nails and I was careful about touching stuff because she had done such beautiful work. It was these little works of art at the end of my digits that I just didn't want to screw up.
All right. So, Brodeur, there's a lot of things out of courtesy to the people in our audience I'm not going to say right now.
Because you're so marveled at the idea that another human being, a professional, someone who day in, day out, all they do is clean toenails and fingernails, and they could make your stuff look as good as mine.
That has to be the worst job in the world, because feet are disgusting.
But you get to put them in a bowl of hot water with soaps and...
Oh, it's genius, right? You sit down in this giant chair, giant chair, right? With all of these little buttons and stuff for your massager. And then there's a tub that you put your feet in. There's a footrest. You got your feet up there, but then you put your feet in the tub. But they have this entire system developed where they put a clear plastic liner in the tub, right? And it's got little lights.
To not pass foot fungus.
To not pass foot fungus. And they've got the little lights and the soaps and the everything. And the warm water on your feet are soaking. And she's doing your nails. And then she pulls your feet out and she's scrubbing them and cleaning them. And just... Oh, I'm telling you.
I've got a little fact for you that you might not know since this is your first time.
Yeah, it was my first,
So they used to do something where I don't know what the technical term is. Maybe there's nail technician listeners that could say this, but they would shave the dead skin with this razor thing, right? It was like a razor thing. It would just shave all the dead skin off.
Uh-huh.
They had to stop doing that because they weren't cleaning the tools well enough, and they were basically rotting people's feet off.
But don't some use these...
God!
I shouldn't even know. Don't someone use little fish that actually...
So Dr. Fish.
Yeah, so there's definitely places that do that.
Yeah.
Because I've seen it when people are going to Japan and things.
Yeah, that's
where
Asian
the fish
countries
will
are big enough.
bite off the dead skin.
skins. You can actually go do that at our aquarium. If you're ever curious, they're called Dr. Fish. You stick your hand in and they eat all the dead skin off your hands.
Yeah, it's a lot grosser, but actually maggots will do the exact same thing.
Yep.
If you're willing to smear your hand and fly maggots, they will do it too.
But the shavers, it sounds gross because some people had issues with them, but like they were the best because, you know, like in the winter, you always get really built up skin on your feet and that they were shaving right off. It was great.
It's wonderful. And your feet feel so good. Like you just, oh my God, we walked out of the massage and I was like, dude, I feel an inch taller.
Because of your feet?
I just
This is the massage. Then I felt amazing after the massage. And then we went and had the mani pedis and I was like, dude.
So, all right, let's
I want to be rich so bad.
All right, hold on.
Or a girl.
I want to unpack these.
I'm cool being a dude.
Fair.
I want to unpack these things separately, all right? Because I've been told by many people that I should get a professional massage. I've never in my life...
It's amazing.
Dude, I have never in my life had a professional massage, and I've had a few people that are professional masseuses just like real quick touch my back and shoulders, and I have shoulders so tense, they would stop a bullet.
No, we're going to Mexico. Let's go to the spa. I'll take you there.
Okay, so
I've thought about that. So I've had some back problems. I thought it might be good to go like a professional massage. My issue is, years ago, I won a chair massage at work.
Oh, those are terrible.
No, here's the thing. The guy comes in and
massages your chair, and you're like, why did I pay for this?
he's doing the massage, and I realize just how much stronger than me he is.
Oh, yeah.
And I have that moment where my anxiety, because it's always there, suddenly my anxiety comes to the realization he is stronger than me to the point that if he chose to hold me down, I could not get up. And suddenly, at that moment, he's like, you just got really tense.
That's when you got a boner?
And I spent the rest of the thing completely tense and not comfortable.
Okay.
And
sorry,
the whole idea of a massage, I need somebody that's not strong. Because otherwise my anxiety is going to go through the roof.
I've been told, and the reason I may not get a massage while we're on vacation is that apparently if you don't get them on the regular, a lot of crap builds up in the deep tissue. And apparently once you get a really good massage, as the muscles relax and whatnot, all this stuff that's fat soluble or caught up in the muscle tissue releases into the bloodstream, and you feel awful for a day or two thereafter because of all the garbage that's coming out. If anyone has been really sedentary and started exercising, you've probably gone through this, because what happens is all the stuff, whether it's old medications, whether it's metals that you've picked up from the foods you were eating, any number of these nasty things get caught up in that tissue. And as you start working the tissue, you have to go through a period where it releases and your body has to kind of work it out. And drinking a lot of water helps.
And stretching afterwards.
Yeah, and stretching and such. But I've talked to a couple of people where they got their first really major massage, and the people told them straight up, you're going to feel like garbage after this.
Yeah.
It's going to feel really good at first, and then you're going to feel sick as a dog for a day or two.
I think that depends.
But I did remember what I said there on the lost train of thought. I have a question here I need to ask to understand the context of this event. Were you high at the time?
Well, Dan, no.
Okay.
I was not high. I'm not high right now.
No, I'm not
I've
saying
been
you
high
are.
for days.
This was a question, not an insinuation.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I was
but
just curious.
I have a substance abuse problem, so I'm
you
sensitive
were like,
about it.
You were like, okay, this felt all magical, and I didn't feel anything, and you're on this other plane of existence, and I was just curious, was sativa part of that equation?
Negative.
Okay.
So I was not high. I was high at breakfast. Absolutely can confirm.
Okay.
Was not high at the massage. Certainly was no longer high by the manicure pedicure. But what I will say is for both Wayne and Dan, you can tell them how much pressure you want to do. So I have been to like a sports therapeutic massage person because of my back. And then I've also had just I'm going into the spa relaxation massage.
Those are different than what you're talking about, Dan.
For sure. I've had both. But the thing is, the woman who did my massage recently, she's like, so what kind of pressure? And I told her, I was like, you can hurt me as bad as you want. Get on and get up in them muscles. You cause that pain. I'm cool. I'll tell you if it's too hard. But she just went to town.
I don't know to what extent I don't know to what extent
good.
I even need a mani or pedi, because in my case,
Don't look at your hands, Dan. Think about your head. Think about what's inside here.
Right.
You need a mani-pedi.
no, I need a general massage and a less stressful life. But like my fingernails and toenails, they're well trimmed. I don't have any fungal infections. I don't have any nutritive issues. None of them are split. None of them are ingrown. Because some of us actually have hygiene. And so...
I have great hygiene, Dan. I have genetics when it comes to toenails.
Okay, well, some of us are also ubermensch. And so...
We're superior. I do not have ingrown toenails. I honestly go just for the relaxation. For
My
sure.
issue is my fingernails. I chew them until I bleed.
I don't
shouldn't
chew
do
my...
that.
No. Like I say, if you look at my
You know they have
fingernails,
stuff you can
they're
put on there so
cut
you won't do
back.
that.
They're... If I was to go, it'd probably be more for the hand and foot massage than for the actual treatment of the
and Dan,
nails.
they do too. They're just the
hot-
massaging.
hot
the
stone. Did you get the hot
fingers
stone on
and-
your shins?
No, they didn't do hot stones. They did like really, really hot towels.
Yeah, the hot stone ones are nice. Not all of them do that though. I used to go all the time when I was younger because I played basketball, and you can't have fingernails in basketball. As soon as basketball was over, like the entire team would go get our nails done and get like fake nails on, like in high
Nice.
school and stuff, because girls do that, I guess. I don't know. And then I stopped doing it, and then I realized that it was like a gift to myself, so I go pretty regularly.
Yeah,
I
no.
love it.
The other thing that now is on my bucket list is having somebody shave me with a straight razor.
Oh,
That is so on my
Where?
That one I've heard is
Like your face?
magical. Yeah.
Okay.
Like go into like an actual like
making sure.
barber shop.
I get you.
Not like a generic sports clips or great clips. So go into an actual barber shop and have them
Yeah.
like do the hot towel, the lather with the brush, the straight razor, an Old West style shave. I've heard is a magical
There
experience.
used to be one in West
Now
County
for
Mall.
Wayne, this does mean
really
someone
good.
with a razor to your throat.
Exactly. My anxiety could not deal with that.
Yeah.
I have issues with people near me holding knives.
I know, and I
You
have
must
triggered
really
that anxiety on
trust
more than
me.
one occasion, and again for that I'm sorry. But here's the bright side: that dude cuts your throat, dude. It's over. It's over. It's done. There's no more. There's no more worrying about the descaling and the flush of your pipes. There's no more worrying about selling your house. There's no more worrying about moving across the country and meeting new friends. You're just dead, Wayne. It's over.
So you're saying that the more suicidal you are, the less stressful this event is? That if you're like, you know what, I might die, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
I guess it's true. Like roller coasters lose all their appeal. If anyone trusted them 100%, right? If we had no fear response, I mean, none.
That's why they
there's no
engineer
fear
them to
response-
kill somebody every so often. Statistically, it's really, really improbable. But there has to be like a 0.001 sacrifice
Yeah, 'cause otherwise
annually. Otherwise, we won't write them.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a fact.
I mean, the people,
That's
I mean,
science.
I'm just scared of heights.
people
so
enjoy them
they're
because
pretty
of
thrilling for me.
people enjoy them because of the adrenaline rush. The adrenaline rush happens because on some level you are having a fear response. And it may not be a high level, right? It might be a real
mine's
low
low.
level. If you're a big thrill seeker, you may not feel that fear as vividly, but that's what's going on in your subconscious. Is your subconscious is saying this is a bad idea and is pumping that adrenaline into your system, so you're more likely to survive. Getting the equivalent of getting chased by a bear or whatever. Yeah, I've never felt that fear with a masseuse because I figure I'm their 20 millionth customer. If they really had it in them to break someone's spine or back, they'd have already done it. And as for a straight razor, if they slit my throat, I will live long enough to turn that chair around and take them with me. And
Or at least bleed on them.
That's all the logic. If logic was enough to not have the anxiety, believe me, I would be fine.
yeah. See,
Here's
okay.
what we're going to do, Wayne. We'll smoke a
Wayne-
big fat bowl because
Not gonna happen.
weed is very good for anxiety.
Volume makes me like a drunk teenager. Because they had to put me on it with my shoulder surgery, and I was like holding the wall to walk. I was like, "Ooh!" Like, my husband was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" Like, he couldn't. Well, he was my boyfriend at the time,
Right.
But yeah, he was like, "I can't." You're like the only person who ever reacted this way on Volume. Most people like sleep, and I'm like
Yeah,
a
we're
drunk
giving
person.
some terrible advice on this show. I don't know what.
Well, then let's talk about gaming.
All right,
let's
let's talk
turn
about
to
gaming,
Wayne, and we can make this about
I
something
don't
that's
know
not.
what we're. Yeah, I really have no idea at this point. We were going to talk about
Mani-pedis.
pedis and massages.
Now we're talking about Ben's benzos.
And somehow we're talking about drug abuse. We are not recommending drug abuse. We joke about stupid things. Please don't do this.
No, it's a bad idea. If you have an actual substance abuse problem, you should see.
And I do have real Valium, but that's because it's on prescription.
Yeah,
blah,
mine
blah,
was on
blah.
prescription.
We are just talking smack, excuse the pun. We are not actually encouraging substance abuse.
I am not. But if I may quote one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite shows, I someday just hope to be seen as someone who likes to get high.
What is that from?
It's from Rick and Morty.
Oh,
they're doing family therapy, and they're doing their famous I statements because Summer was huffing pottery glaze.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that episode now. Okay. That's your favorite character?
I love Summer.
Yeah, she's
I love
one of
Summer.
mine, too.
Except it ruined me when it was pointed out to me that Jerry and Summer have the exact same face. They're the exact same. Take the hair off of Jerry's head, put Summer's hair on it. It's the same thing. So Summer's just Jerry with tits. It's creepy.
Okay, maybe we'll turn this not into a negative, but a bonus episode.
Yeah, I think we've gone past right
Because we'll come back to the gaming topic next episode. We'll just do a bonus.
Wayne, I ruined everything.
All right, but there are a lot of shows and a lot of movies that I am very slow to pick up because an overly zealous and or obnoxious fan base turns me off to them. One of them, probably the one that goes farthest back in the run of this show, a lot of you know I did not watch Firefly for years. I did not see an episode of Firefly until like a decade after the show had dropped because of the fact that the freaking brown coats, I got so irritated with them, I started calling them the brown shirts because they were just so myopically obsessed with this show. And it's like, I've seen Joss Whedon's stuff. He's got a formula he can do well, but nonetheless, it's a formula that he does over and over and over again. And the show looked okay, but the fans were just so zealous and so singular in the way they viewed the show that I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And then I finally watched it after all that had blown over. And they'd finally accepted the show was never coming back, and they chilled out and moved on to other things.
Oh, there's a batch that have never accepted
Oh,
that.
I know. There's always the true believers.
They would hate it if it came back. Whatever they're given would not be what they want.
No, because
their expectations are too high.
The idea of it is better than the real thing at this point. But I did finally sit down and watch it, and it was good. I wouldn't say it was the greatest show I've ever watched, but I would say it was a good, solid A. I wouldn't give it an A++, but it was a great show. I enjoyed it. But I had to put some space between myself and the fan base in order to enjoy it. Now, that's nothing against you guys that are fans of Firefly. If you're a brown coat and that's your thing, there's nothing wrong with that. You love what you love and have a good time doing it, and you gush about what you love. This is my neurosis, all right? I'm owning this. Same thing happened with Rick and Morty.
Really?
Did you see all those riots in the McDonald's and stuff when
maybe I didn't
or the
notice
Szechuan
it.
sauce and
that's
the
right. I don't pay attention.
and-
You're right. This sauce is fucking delicious.
And then there was that period where anybody and everybody's had to take every opportunity they could in public to scream "Pickle Rick," and the fan base got to a point that they were so irritating that I began to despise a show I had never seen. But after Brodeur watched it and then convinced Chad to watch it, on a lark, I was sitting there, couldn't sleep, like always, terrible insomniac, sitting there in the middle of the night, unable to sleep, and I take out my phone, and it pops up. I think it's on HBO Max or whatever it's on.
It's on HBO Max. It's on Hulu.
Yeah.
I study the show.
Pops up and recommends Rick and Morty, and I'm like, fine. I'll give it 2 or 3 episodes. I have to admit, ignore the fan base. That show freaking kills me.
And it's clever.
I have not seen a show.
It's so smart.
It's got a lot of depth.
I say, I have not seen a show that funny where I actually was laughing multiple times an episode. Every episode, I had to pause the show to stop laughing because I couldn't hear the dialogue. I have not had that kind of humor in a show since the early to mid Simpsons, and maybe once again the early to mid Family Guy.
I still remember the first episode I saw. I was flipping through channels and I landed on it, and it was the Get Swifty with It episode.
Yeah, with Ice-T.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember so Mike was watching it before me, and it's more just the time. I didn't have the time to watch. And then now it's on Adult Swim at night, and that's kind of what we put on the television to fall asleep. And so I started actually picking it up and enjoying
Right.
it. And then I didn't know Poopy Butthole was like a thing.
Oh, Mr. Poopy Butthole.
Mr.
Yeah.
Poopy Butthole.
Yeah, he's
and
a
I'm
recurring
like,
character.
so then I'm like, what is that? Like, because they didn't say his name. I'm like, what is it? He seems like a reoccurring character. It's like, Mike's like, oh, yeah, it's Mr. Poopy Butthole. I'm like, wait, what?
And by the way, I do want to take a moment to pause right here and say, for the people in the fan base, once again, love what you love, right? If you were one of the people that were part of those riots at the McDonald's, you're an idiot. But I love you, right? Get help. But I do love you still. Love what you love. But to the people who are like, yeah, you have to be super intelligent to understand or appreciate this show, I'm going to go ahead and burst your bubble. You are wildly overestimating your intellect. Yes, the show does have a smart edge to it. Yes, there are certain episodes where they get really big into like probabilities and time travel and things like that. And it does take a somewhat educated mind to follow the show. But the whole thing of you're a genius if you understand this show, I'm sorry. Once again, no harm here to anyone, but you are overestimating how complex the show is. You can understand it and laugh at it, even if you're roughly average intelligence. It's not that complicated. It is smart humor. I will grant that. It is smart humor. I think Archer actually has far more obscure
God, I love
references.
Archer.
Me too. I love Archer.
See, I compare it more with South Park.
It's
I
clever.
think South Park is a very clever type of humor.
Right.
Rick and Morty is a very clever humor.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of their jokes on the same level.
And I will say, they don't talk down to the audience, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I do
They
get
expect the audience to actually be doing some level of active watching. You can't just sit there drooling on yourself and consume it and really get what's going on. I will agree with that point. It does take a certain mental investment, but I swear there are people out there just giving themselves honorary doctorates because they get the jokes. And it's like, once again, come on.
So I don't know many people that are avid fans of Rick and Morty. And I'm not trying to say I'm an expert, but like
You're just saying you don't have many friends.
I've got, well, not close ones. I'm kidding.
Make everybody sad.
Not after this month.
But I've seen every episode multiple times. I study the show. I don't like get into fan theories and all that craziness. And I don't think for me that it's an intellectual thing. Like there's no science smart about the show that like
There is, because like in
but I don't even try to follow that.
Yeah.
For me, what
There's
is
a lot of philosophy in the show.
the character development and the
Sociology.
relationships between the family members, as somebody who came from a completely f***ed up dysfunctional family, that still as an adult you realize these people were doing the best they can.
Yeah.
Now I'm watching this terribly dysfunctional family that still obviously very much on a level cares about each other.
Right.
And they don't have the courage. I mean, hell, even when, spoiler alert, when Beth and Jerry get divorced, they get back together. And if if that's a really terrible spoiler for you, well, then you're years late to the party. But even their relationship, the Beth and Jerry relationship, like on some levels, it reminds me of me and my wife. Like there is something in each of these characters, whether it's Jerry, Beth, Summer, Rick, Morty, that there's some aspect of them that I can relate to.
I can think of two
You know?
spots in the show that I remember off the top of my head, and I'll try to frame these as non-spoilery as possible, that they did require a little bit of thought. One was the Vat of Acid episode.
Oh my
Yes.
God, yeah, because
Where he gives them the button to correct his mistakes, and then he
Yes.
explains how it actually works.
well, and there's the opportunity right at the beginning of the episode. It's like where he's like, do you want to know how it works? Essentially, and Morty's like, that I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
Right.
And then,
Yeah.
but then when he finally does explain it, now they give you some visual aids to help. Okay, that did take a little bit of intellect to follow. And then the season 5 cliffhanger that we don't know how it resolves.
About the central finite curve.
Yeah, about the central
Yeah.
finite. Yeah, there's basically some probabilistic bubble within all of the universes that he's trying to get out of and such. Okay, that one did take a little bit of an understanding of how quantum physics and
physics,
probabilities and such work. But it's not like I said, these people that are patting themselves on the back with honorary doctorates because they can laugh at the show. It's like, I love you, but come on, let's be honest
and
here.
I think there's a
But-
difference.
but bear with me one more thing, because I keep forgetting this point. The other thing is, I swear, this is where people don't get philosophy. And it's like I'm patting myself on the back, and I swear I'm not. everyone also likes to say, well, you don't get the show because you don't understand nihilistic humor. It's not nihilistic. You guys need to, when I say you guys, I'm not talking to the audience. I'm talking to the people that say that. You need to read a little more on nihilism. The show is cynical, not nihilistic. There's a difference. Rick likes to think he is nihilistic, but if you actually listen to him explain his values, he's not a nihilist. He is a cynic. And the show's humor is cynical, not nihilistic.
He actually holds a lot more hope than he will ever admit.
And he has a lot, and there are things he puts value in. A true nihilist will put value in nothing. And he does put value in a short, and he lies about it a lot, but a short but very precious list of things. He just doesn't think it will work out. That's cynicism, not nihilism.
Right. Just watch the toilet episode. Because Rick's a private.
Oh, yeah.
Just watch the private pooper episode.
The private pooper is one of my favorites.
Because the reveal, right, where he, again, I don't want to spoil it, where he doesn't kill him. The guy wakes up in the bag and he's like, wait a minute. These are all people who you didn't kill, but you also didn't want to put forth the effort to have a relationship with. So you put them in this bag of fluid that gave them, fulfilled their wildest dream. Like, that's how f***ed up you are. You can't just throw me away, but you also can't invest time in me as a person. Like,
wow. And he found his match. The other pooper was somebody that he could relate to, and he finally found this other person that could understand him in a way no one else could.
Right. And then when he finally sits down at the end of the episode, he sits on the toilet and he himself alone is the king of shit because that guy was right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes me want to tear up.
Yeah. I would definitely say it's more clever. You don't need to be vastly intelligent. Like, you don't need to understand the quantum physics stuff in order to find humor and entertainment out of it.
Unlike you, brother, I do get into a lot of the theories, specifically around the Mortiest Morty.
Oh,
the evil Morty and everything going on there, because there are threads of that go back multiple seasons that keep paying off.
You go back to episode 10 of season 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once again, I will grant it's a funny show. I will say it is relatively smart humor. I will say it is certainly a step above the average sitcom. But the fan base, particularly a very vocal, very toxic, very arrogant portion of it, turned me off to the show for so long that I did not even give it a try, which I admit says more about me than it does about anyone else. The fact that I can't enjoy it because this type of person enjoys it. I mean, maybe I'm the real elitist.
Well, no,
maybe I'm the one.
I'm that way with World of Darkness, dude. And I remember a long time ago I said,
well, that's because World of Darkness you have to do with other people.
World of Darkness and drugs they're the same thing to me. I love them. I just don't like the people who do them.
Yeah, I say, well, that's the
you don't
difference.
like me.
Shut up! I do like you. No, it's not.
I don't need anyone else.
It was a general statement.
I don't need anyone else to watch Rick and Morty or to watch Firefly. Right. So maybe I'm the one that's patting myself on the back and I've got the real issue.
I've talked about it so many times, how long it took me to become an anime fan because of anime fans.
Yes.
And mostly because everyone that tried to sell me kept showing me the absolute worst things to get me interested.
Yes, I agree. My brother did that to me.
It's like,
I love you, Jason, if you listen.
I will never like Dragon Ball. It is not my thing. But that doesn't mean there's not a lot of other anime that I will like. I don't need to see the super fan servicey animes.
Here's the thing about anime. Anime fight scenes need somebody. They need a gas pedal and they need a fucking brake.
It's not anime fan scenes. It's shonen fight scenes. Because other animes have normal fight scenes.
No, they don't. Because what they do is they put that damn pedal on the floor as hard as they can, and there's 7,000 blows per second. I'm watching people punch like a machine gun. I don't know what's going on, Wayne. It's too fast. They need to pump the brakes a little bit. Shonen needs to press the gas. Everybody else needs to hit the brakes.
There's plenty of anime where it's very realistic.
I watch different anime. I like political dramas and like.
Here's the thing about anime. People say, dude, Brodeur, you've never seen a good anime. That's the problem. And I'm like, you're right. I've never seen a good anime.
Well, here's the thing. If I were to talk to you about if I were to talk to you about anime, first of all, I wouldn't try to push it on you because I don't want people to push things on me.
Sure.
But I would have the conversation with you. what
do you
shows do you like? What TV shows? What movies? And I would recommend you something based on your interest,
Right.
not based on what I think is good.
Yeah.
Well,
Because
that's
just
really
because I think it's good doesn't mean you'll enjoy it.
yeah.
I
Like
mean,
can't.
you should
look-
just watch One Punch Man because you should.
Yes,
I
One
didn't
Punch
get it.
Man is great.
You did it.
I didn't get
That's
it.
because you don't watch all the fight scenes in the other.
It's because true because it's a pair. It's a
One
Right.
Punch, One Punch
Yeah.
Man is a satire of anime.
Thank you.
It
That's
is
the word
also-
I was looking for.
It is also, to some extent, a satire of the superhero genre.
Yes.
But more than that, it is particularly a satire of other anime.
And I'm
so-
steeped in the superhero genre.
Because
I get that,
it-
but the anime aspect,
Yeah,
I don't.
it inverts all of the normal tropes of anime. The hero is a completely unremarkable person who at no point becomes remarkable, at no point realizes he's a badass, and all the explanations that they have offered, at least within the core canon of both the show, and I understand they're now doing kind of a parallel comic that actually does change the story a bit, which I don't like, but apparently as of the original comics or manga, everything in that show is
Just mediocre.
banal. Yeah, everything about him is banal. And every time people try to understand why he matters, the answer is he shouldn't. And that's the joke.
It's like me.
But but for some reason he's the most powerful thing in existence, and he shouldn't be.
and he doesn't want to be necessarily.
Yeah,
either.
he has it's I won't get into a big thing about it. But no, I have no trouble admitting what I like. Look, in anime, I enjoyed Queen's Blade.
I love Taylor Swift.
I'm willing to just
we
go
just
ahead
had this
and-
conversation.
Yeah.
And Megan Trainor.
Yeah, I like Meghan Trainor. Yeah, I mean, whatever. Dig where would you dig? That's what I say.
Yeah. So, I mean, once again, I'm not telling anyone they shouldn't like these things or they're bad people. I'm just explaining that I personally could not get into these things because the fan base, it's like, what does that say about the product, right? And maybe nothing. Maybe that's the real moral here. But I think there's another moral I'd like to put on it, which is overall, in my experience, gamers and geeks and nerds and all of us, whatever we are generally very compassionate, very good, very caring, very open people. But there are corners of the hobby and corners of the fandom that do more than their fair share to turn off other people from joining the hobby. And this is not my opportunity to take some kind of, moment to virtue signal or whatever, because that's not what I'm about. All I'm saying is you can like something like a TV show however you want. You don't need other people to participate in it unless you want a second season, Firefly fans, in which case maybe you do need to draw folks in. But with gaming, it's a social hobby.
Someone is at home right now seething at you and Fox Television.
Oh, I know.
And going through the whole rant in their mind about how it was Fox's fault and not the fault of the show, and how the episodes were aired out of order, and the browncoats are coming for you.
Oh, and that may be true. Look, I'm not saying any of it is false. I mean, I honestly don't know. I'm just saying, for me, speaking from a population sample size of 1, that was what kept me from becoming a supporter of the show a lot earlier on.
I hear you.
I encountered, and it's a really used over word that I hate to use, but I encountered a toxic portion of the fandom, a portion of the fandom that was very off-putting. And look, gaming, unlike a television show, which, I know I made my little slight there about television shows needing a following to continue, which is true. Gaming, you can't have even a single game without multiple people. Do think about the way you present your interests. Is it in a way that conveys your excitement while still sounding welcoming and inviting to other people?
Yeah, Snyderverse fans, I'm looking at you, and I'm taking the pressure off there.
Or does it come across as something that's so elitist or so single-minded or so cult-like, or maybe something even worse, gatekeeping?
If you don't like it, you just don't get it.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you don't get it.
There's plenty of stuff I don't get.
We don't
and I'll
want-
admit that.
Or we don't want your type, whatever your type is in the fandom anyway.
There is nothing I hate more
I've
than
heard
that
that.
art. I said, there's nothing I hate more than the argument of, if you don't like it, you just didn't get it.
I say I actually believe that about a very, very small number of properties. Like I could count on a single hand and still fingers left over the number of properties I have consumed where I think you do have to have someone explain it to you. And even then, you may still fully understand it and not like it.
Right.
But there are people I can think of, like, and I'm not going to name them because I don't want to start a new tangent, but I can think of a movie or two where I talked to people who didn't like them. And I said, will you rewatch it with me? And while we were rewatching, I paused it to point out things and kind of note things and say, hey, pay attention to this. And by the end of it, they're like, oh my gosh, that was one of the best things I've ever seen. I don't know why I hated it. Mm-hmm. But once again, I've also gotten to the end of these things where I fully explained it or the person fully explained it to me. And it's like, yeah, you get it. You just don't like it.
Yeah.
Guess what? Matrix 2 really did suck.
Yes.
Yeah, it did. But what were you saying you get all the time?
Oh, early years of my nerd stuff, I used to get a lot of like shunning. That
Because
I'm not a
you're a
real
girl?
gamer because I just want the attention and blah, 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 blah.
I bet you had a lot of the litmus tests.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
Yeah,
And
we still give them to Julia to this day.
It was rough. I mean, like, I'm glad to see more gamer girls.
Yeah.
It's nice. But, like, so, you know,
Particularly the real ones.
so, like, that's the thing is, like, I was a video gamer before I was a role player. Just because of time for me, because I play basketball. So I played so much sports ball that I had a finite amount of time. So my amount of time was spent on something I could do myself, which was gaming or playing video games. Then once I got done with all that, I could get into D&D and more nerdy stuff because the fan base isn't playing sports ball with me. Like, let's be honest. Like, nobody in my whole basketball team career, and I've been on several teams, did I ever talk to somebody about video games.
Yeah,
you
and
know?
we make fun of Julie. We make fun of each other. I mean, we brutalize each other all the time. But, you know, like I said, the point here is whatever you're into, remember that you, unfortunately, for better or worse, become a representation of that product, that hobby, that culture. If you want other people involved, and maybe you don't care. And that's fine. I'm not here to tell you what values to have. I'm just saying the simple math is if you want people to participate, then you have to make it sound welcoming and approachable to everyone. To anyone that's willing to throw in their support and their money and their enthusiasm into what you do, you are part of that decision process. And, you know, you can't fix every bad experience someone's had, but you can be the good experience they've had that says, you know what, not everyone over there is like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think I probably am an example of every Rick and Morty fan in terms of being gross and loud and disgusting.
No,
I'm
because
kidding.
I'll say jokes aside, no, you are actually the fan that got me to give it a try. Because it's like, okay, Brodeur's enjoying this, and Brodeur is the farthest thing from someone that's going to get super arrogant and start a riot in McDonald's over damn McNugget sauce.
I can't do that. But then when Nathan Fillion's standing there and Rick's wife and daughter have just blown up in the garage and he, as the alien creature, is eating the Szechuan sauce and he's just licking his finger and he's like, this sauce is fucking delicious.
Was that actually Nathan Fillion?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so Nathan Fillion,
didn't realize
he's
that.
the interrogator.
Oh, he
right?
is,
Yeah,
that's
he's
right.
the interrogator bug. Yeah, so when they sit down in the show and he's like, what do you guys have me in a Series 9000? Nathan Fillion's like, I told the money bugs. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it a lot.
So that's where we're going to kill this one.
One more thing.
All right.
Gratuitous violence. The Pickle Rick episode is great for a number of reasons, mostly because of family therapy. However, when he's used the roaches, right, and he's got all these roach parts, and then he traps that one mouse, and his whole Rube Goldberg machine goes through, and he goes from being Pickle Rick to having arms and legs and muscle and all sorts of cool sewer weapons that he built that shoot screws and razor blades. And there are like 2 solid minutes of just savage rat murder. It's the rat, they're just swarming at him and there's just cutting and screws and dying. And then when he goes and he gets the big rat and he's like, you notice that I didn't give you a cool name like Goliath or Scar, because to me, you're just you're nothing. And he's just razor blading rats, and then he talks about how much he loves himself. And then he rockets
and then
in.
Brodeur had a flashback to his mom.
Yeah, and then I had a flashback to my mom. Yeah, and then, oh my God, it's so good. Just the violence, the comedy, the emotion. It's just a roller coaster, Dan. I love it.
Okay, that's good. You love it. Yeah, and like I said, I'll give you credit because You were the person that convinced me to watch it because you were the first fan of the show I met that was not off-putting. So,
And if you have any friends and family that eat poop, here's my card.
Okay. And I will fully admit, once again, I own a lot of this may be my issue because I'm bitchy and cantankerous.
Well, you know what it is with gamers, and I really believe this, for many of us, and this has always been one of my big problems when I was in retail, is that for a lot of gamers, opinion is identity.
Yes.
And that if you do not like what I like, or
and
God
like
forbid,
it the way I like it.
and if you even deride or mock or belittle something that I like, I'm going to take that as a personal attack. Dude, I didn't write Rick and Morty. I don't know Justin Roiland and Matt Harmon or whatever his name is, Dave Harmon or whatever his name. I don't know them. I didn't write it. If people don't like Rick and Morty, that doesn't mean a damn thing about me as a human being.
Yeah.
Right? I don't like musicals.
What's wrong with you?
I can't.
I'm with Brodeur on that
kidding,
one.
I'm
I
kidding.
can't take them.
I'm a singer, so I love them.
Right, but
There's Lion King,
Yeah.
and then there's everything else. And
There's way better Disney movies than that.
no, I'm not. I'm talking stage performances.
Oh, like stage performances.
I'm talking like stage musicals, not movies.
I did go see Cats, and I was very confused.
Something Rotten is my favorite.
So anyway,
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Well, and Avenue Q,
the
maybe.
producers. I can
But-
do the producers.
The producers is pretty
Springtime
awesome.
for Hitler and
Springtime
Germany.
Trailer.
All
It's
right.
winter for Poland and France.
So thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great week and great games, and we will catch you next time.